In the kingdom of Nambara, parents used to warn their children about one place more terrifying than death itself. The Red Forest, a cursed land where people vanished without a trace. Some believed demons lived there. Others claimed the trees themselves were alive. But the most terrifying rumor of all was that the forest could call your name using the voice of someone you loved. And once you answered, it never let you leave. For 20 years, Queen Zahara forbade anyone from entering the forest after sunset. Even soldiers feared going near it. But nobody knew the real reason behind her fear, until the night her son disappeared. Prince Cairo was brave, curious, and reckless. Unlike the other royals, he loved sneaking into villages and listening to old legends from travelers. On the night of his 18th birthday, while music and drums filled the palace, Cairo overheard two old servants whispering near the hallway. "They say the forest chooses someone every few years," one whispered nervously. The other looked terrified. "And when it calls your name, it already owns your soul." Cairo smirked. He thought it was just another village myth. But later that night, as he stood alone near his balcony, he heard a voice. Soft, gentle, familiar. "Cairo." The prince froze instantly, because the voice sounded exactly like his dead mother. His breathing slowed. Again, "Cairo, come find me." The voice echoed from far away, from the direction of the Red Forest. Without thinking, Cairo grabbed a lantern and rode into the darkness alone. That was the last time anyone saw him. By sunrise, his horse returned to the palace covered in blood and mud. But the prince was gone. And for the first time in 20 years, Queen Zahara looked truly afraid. The palace fell into panic. Soldiers searched rivers, caves, villages, but Prince Cairo had vanished completely. Then finally, Queen Zahara made a shocking decision. At sunrise, she gathered her warriors at the palace gates. "We enter the Red Forest today." The entire kingdom gasped in horror. Even the soldiers looked terrified, because according to legend, nobody who entered the forest twice ever returned human. Rain poured from the sky as the queen and her warriors crossed into the cursed land. Instantly, everything changed. The air became heavy. The trees looked twisted like giant claws. And strangely, there were no birds, no insects, no sound at all, only silence. Then suddenly, boom, 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 drums echoed deep within the forest. The queen's face turned pale instantly, because she recognized that sound. 20 years earlier, she heard those same drums the night her husband disappeared. The soldiers stared at her nervously. One finally whispered, "Your Majesty, what truly happened to the king?" For years, Zahara had hidden the truth from everyone. But now, the forest was forcing her to remember. Years ago, the king became obsessed with finding an ancient temple hidden inside the Red Forest. Legends claimed it contained power beyond imagination. Zahara begged him not to go, but greed blinded him. 3 days later, the king returned. Alive, but different. His eyes looked empty, his voice colder, and every night, he secretly walked toward the forest like something was calling him back. Then one night, he disappeared forever. That's when Zahara sealed the forest from the kingdom, because deep down, she knew something evil lived there, something waiting patiently in the dark. Suddenly, one soldier screamed. Everyone turned, and standing between the trees was Prince Cairo, alive, smiling. "Mother!" Queen Zahara ran toward her son in relief. But suddenly, an old warrior grabbed her arm violently. "Stop!" The queen froze. Then she noticed something horrifying. Cairo's feet weren't touching the ground. He was floating slightly above it. And behind him, dozens of glowing red eyes slowly opened in the darkness. The prince smiled unnaturally. "Mother!" he whispered again. "Come closer." The drums grew louder. Boom, boom, boom. Then suddenly, the trees moved. Massive branches twisted like giant hands, grabbing soldiers and dragging them screaming into the darkness. Chaos exploded across the forest. The ground shook violently, and deep between the trees, something enormous appeared. A creature made from roots, bones, shadows, and human faces trapped inside bark. Its glowing eyes burned bright red. The soldiers trembled in terror. The creature stared directly at the queen. "You returned." This voice echoed like thunder. Zahara slowly pulled out her sword. "What are you?" The monster laughed. "I am the keeper of human desire." The trapped faces inside its body began moving painfully beneath the bark. Then suddenly, the queen saw someone she recognized. Her husband, still alive, still trapped after 20 years. Tears filled her eyes instantly. The creature pointed toward Cairo. "Now your son belongs to the forest too." The queen realized the horrifying truth. The forest didn't hunt random people. It trapped those who entered searching for something. Power, answers, love, greed. And once the forest touched your heart, it never let go. The creature's branches wrapped slowly around Prince Cairo. "Choose," it growled. "Save your husband or your son." The queen's heart shattered. If she saved the king, Cairo would remain trapped forever. If she saved Cairo, her husband would never escape. The soldiers looked at Zahara desperately. But the queen suddenly understood something terrifying. The forest would never stop. As long as it existed, it would continue feeding on human weakness forever. Slowly, the queen lowered her sword. The creature smiled. Then suddenly, Zahara grabbed a burning torch from the ground and hurled it directly into the creature's roots. Fire exploded across the forest instantly. The monster roared violently as flames spread through the trees. The trapped faces screamed. The drums stopped. The ground cracked apart beneath them. "Run!" the queen shouted. Soldiers fled through the burning forest while shadows chased them from every direction. The creature howled in rage as the entire forest collapsed into fire. At the last second, Zahara grabbed Cairo and escaped beyond the forest borders. As sunrise touched the land, the red forest burned to ashes behind them. And for one brief moment, the queen saw her husband's face smiling peacefully inside the flames. Finally free. Years passed after the destruction of the red forest. Grass slowly replaced the ashes, and nobody ever dared enter that land again. Prince Cairo eventually became king, but he never forgot what he saw inside the forest. The glowing eyes, the trapped souls, the creature feeding on human desire. One evening, Cairo asked his mother a question that haunted him for years. "Do you think the forest was truly evil?" Queen Zahara looked toward the distant horizon quietly. Then she answered softly, "No." Cairo looked confused. The forest only revealed what already existed inside people's hearts. The prince finally understood. His father wasn't trapped because the forest was powerful. He was trapped because greed consumed him. And many of the others were trapped because they chased things they could never control. Power, immortality, forbidden knowledge. The red forest simply turned human weakness into a prison. And that is why some places become cursed. Not because monsters live there, but because darkness grows wherever human greed is allowed to rule. The greatest monsters are often created by human obsession, greed, and the desires we refuse to control.